So this is a discussion about time management and production planning and all of that. So I thought what I would do is kind of rough out what are the categories. So when I look at my own syllabus, I've got a week, so it's week one. And then after that, it's usually the class and whatever the topic in the week. And then after that is really what is due. A Word document with just a table, and the other one is an Excel spreadsheet. Now, if I don't actually have numbers and math in this, I'm not sure why I would need Excel. So this would be week number. So it'd be week here. It would be the basis of one class, but then blocking out how your other classes would interact with that time, rather than what is due in every single class, because I think that gets too complicated. So this would be a class for whatever the topic is, and then the header would be class name. So topic for the week. So then after that would be what is due for that class. Okay, so I know that is the class. Then I come out here and it would be, we'll just call it class 2, class 3, and class 5. Right. So then there's also, what do you not know how to do?
Yeah.
What I'm thinking about are things like things that you have to learn and you don't know how to do. I'm going to call that new learning. Because that would be, yes, I'm going, like you were talking about, I want to do it in this software, but I don't know this software. So then you have to allow this extra time to learn the software. So it's probably not in this order. So the other thing I would recommend putting in here is these are benchmarks. So this would be, I'm going to give it a color. I'm just going to say green. And this is week 7, which would normally be midterm. There's some different methods for tracking projects. When you're working for a company, advertising was always done by a traffic coordinator. Literally, that was their job title. So the ad would come in, they would put it in an envelope. And on the front of the envelope was this whole production schedule for who had to see it when. And it was all, the dates were all written in. And it would just go to the next person and the next person and the next person and the next person. And when I was working in advertising and I'd get a stack of 12 ads, 12 folders, I would put them in the order that they had to go out. And there was always some rush thing that came through that I'd have to stick in the very front. When I had my own clothing line, I adapted a version of that because we were not doing production. We were doing more custom through stores. Every order had an order sheet. So it was the complete order. That was on a clipboard. And on the front of the clipboard, every week, I would update this list of what had to go where this week. And I developed a method, codes for doing this. So it would be like, we would do the first sample, I would cut it out. I had to send it out to somebody and it came back. So what I would do is when I cut it, I drew an open circle. When it went, I would write the initial of who it went to. When it came back, I would fill in the circle, which told me it was complete. So the other one is the to-do list. Let's say that let's do it theoretical as though the class is only 7 weeks long. So we're just using one sheet. And maybe there's another benchmark point here. You would write in, it's the goal of what do you want to have done? And so you work your way back and you always give yourself an extra week because you're always wrong.
Yeah.
So, and if your time management skills are terrible, you give yourself 2 extra weeks. So for instance, if I say backwards flow charting, I want to have let's say 3 objects complete. And then I work my way back and I try to figure out, maybe here's some other benchmark. Maybe this is rough models. So I have rough models there. Things you can't control. Parents that are at you to come back for dinner. It's that stuff. So let's say you know that grandma's birthday, it's like, I have to go. It's her 90th birthday and I have to go. I have no choice. How long is that going to take? 3 hours? No?
5 hours.
Okay, that's reality. So let's say 5 hours,
Whole night.
24 hours
Yeah, you also have to do preparation.
for grandma's birthday.
Yeah.
That's excuse.
That's all part of it. That's the week before.
Yeah. Your parents are gonna ask you to go pick up the cake at
Uh-huh.
the store.
Yes. So maybe this can't control list starts getting really long for this one particular week. And new learning would come as a response to the to-do list. So if you have rough models, but you say you want to do Clo3D or whatever it is, but you don't know Clo3D, then you got to come over here and say, learn Clo3D. So are you getting it from LinkedIn Learning? Where are you getting it from?
Or YouTube.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, so you write that kind of, let's say YouTube. So maybe you allow yourself a half an hour to find the videos. So that's like 30 minutes to find the videos. So what was the new software you had to learn? Rhino?
Rhino.
Okay, how long did it take you?
Maybe like even 1 to 2 days cannot.
There's a
Yeah.
learning curve.
So you have to be realistic about it
Yeah.
I knew like I could just keep on learning. Like,
as you were doing the project.
yeah, so I limited myself to watching 20 tutorials and then just started.
Okay, so let's do her. So let's call it Rhino. So how long did it take you to watch all those tutorials? What are they, 20 minutes each, maybe?
Yeah, but because I was doing it at the same time, it took a little long. Like
Okay.
I was following the demos.
So did you allow yourself like a whole day to learn and make at the same time?
Yes,
8 hours?
a little more than that.
12?
Maybe
Okay.
I think sometimes you have to spend your whole week just to.
Okay, well, see, this is why you have to be realistic. So hers was 10 to, let's say 12. 12 hours to, this was a learn and make. So she was doing it at the same time. So that's, that's 12 hours right in there.
Yeah.
So that means, oh, grandma's going to get a shorter birthday.
Yeah. And I think there's a thing that we grad student do is we make trade-off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you have to decide what course you want to spend more time.
Are you
To do all the courses, but it's impossible for
Yeah.
us to spend all the time on like full time on every course. So we have to choose.
Okay, so if I pull up my calendar, so from that list, I then go to my calendar and I literally block out the time. So I've got the classes, I've got sewing lab, my office hours, I had a meeting, or I have this class today. And then I can literally see 1 p.m. I can start like this afternoon. There's a expo in Pasadena I want to go to, so I'm going to block that in. So I use this as my, this is when I have time. Now, this will sync with my phone. If I know I'm going to have to do a lot of prep, like, see, this is the time of year, the time of the term that I have to start sending out TA notices. So another thing that I have, which has worked pretty well, so the Sewing Lab staff and I have a Teams folder, and it works when you have multiple people. I have a Sewing Lab Teams, and then I have a planner that I use. This has been really helpful when you have projects that are coming in 4 months or 3 months, or so for instance here, so this tells me week 11 is when I have to start this stuff. So here we are, TAs, week 11. If I exit out, it still stays on the list so that I can open it back up again the next term. Next term classes, week 12, posters for new term, that would be week 12. All syllabi, these are old ones, so I would put in what the new ones are. Update sewing lab because I work with one of the teachers to do it. Machines, mannequins, check on machines to be returned. But then this also gets delegated to two other people who can look at this. So machine repairs are almost always here. Oil and clean machines, supplies for sewing lab get purchased somewhere in here. Then I can put the PO numbers, storage issues, everything else that happens. New term. I would like to return to this. This was a speaker series we started before the pandemic, and rather than erase it off of there, I just keep forwarding it so that eventually I can do it again. This is 6-month plan. Item study collection. We do have a historic study collection that I haven't really dealt with. And then long range plans, these ideas that are there, I just keep moving so that I don't forget about them, because that's what was happening. So, this becomes my long range planner. Within this is files, and the files have things like TA schedules and information. So I go here to look at what was the last schedule I had so that I can email them and say, do you want to come back? Mostly what you have is like the main core production plan, and then it's offshoots. And you could put it up in the header is to say where the offshoots are. So you could say hourly, see calendar. So if you're using Miro, you say see Miro for, I don't know, project X, whatever it is. So that tells me up there that I have offshoots. So I think building some sort of other ideas. Now, the Blackboard is a good one. The clipboard is a good one. Sticky notes are a good one. You've got to have a calendar because that gives you the hourly breakdown. It's like you have to schedule sleep. Or at least try. As you get older, if you don't have methods, you are suddenly sunk. So it's called Notion.
It's an app. You can basically do anything in here. I use it for planning, and it's free to use as well. Okay, so what I do every week is I archive the previous week and then I open a new week. And then it automatically opens like this template for me. And then I usually just like copy and paste and then adjust it to what I need.
Right.
And then also, I have a task page that has all my tasks and then my status. It's always just me. That's it's assigned to, and then the due date, what project, and then the priority. And then I also have this in my project section where I can really see like a timeline, and I can see my actives, what I'm planning in progress, etc. And what's also great is that they have a calendar too. So you can link everything in your tasks and your agenda into the calendar. And then I also use a physical calendar. Honestly, at first, I didn't use it because I realized you have to put some time into setting it up.
Setting it up,
So
yeah.
it took me like a total of maybe around 5 hours setting everything up. But after that, it's super easy. You just have to like add everything for the week, and it doesn't take a lot of time. You can also use AI with it. I'm
Oh,
trying to, yeah, I'm
really?
trying to get AI to maybe act like my personal assistant on here. So
So,
maybe it can help plan
oh,
my
I
day.
see. Notion AI up there.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that yet, but
That's very interesting.
and recently I've been hearing about the importance of clearing space in your mind and doing this. Like
This is
even-
what I meant
Yeah.
about not keeping it in your head.
even like if you think about something while doing doing another task, you shouldn't multitask and you should just write it down
That's right.
and set time aside to just think about it.
Yeah. If it's just this sort of fleeting idea and you don't want to lose it, you will lose it. Unless you have a photographic memory, you're going to lose it. Okay, so this is about creating paginations. And so what I'm looking at here is the original template pagination. And then here is Lucia's. And can you take us through what some of this is?
Yeah, so this is the original page I started with, which is just Justine's template. And then so I have the first part of this class in my intro chapter. This is what we all did. And then once you get to the bottom row, this is where I start my process chapter. So I started with my sketches, my screenshots, my photos, my diagrams, my problem solving and research, which is pretty standard across the board. And then as you go to the second page, this is where it gets more unique to my process itself. And this is where I actually took the original template and then duplicated it, which you can do in any software really. So I started my process chapter 2. This is where I started going more into depth in my project. I started this one off with my critiques of my first sample, which was from when I took this class in spring. And then I put underneath each page a description of what's going to be on that page. I have my critiques, new factory communications, and then this is where I decided to create my own chapter to fit in the deck, which would be my new research chapter. I have my pros and cons, manufacturing methods, potential manufacturing issues, my factory interview. So these are all personal chapters that made sense for my project. And then I have my interview gatherings, which is where I do my conclusion of my interview. I have my sample 2 documentation of my new samples that come in from the factory. And then I have my lifestyle shoot mood board, which will be for my final chapter, which is the lookbook and campaign. So I'm an advertising major, so I've decided to do a campaign for my shoes. This way I can put it in my personal portfolio. So this is where, once again, it's a chapter that's specific to my project and what I wanted from this class. So I have my campaign intro, I have product shots, and lifestyle shots, which is like the beauty shot, which is required for the class. But then on top of that, I have my campaign elements, which will fill the whole chapter. But this really helps me lay out what I want to do.
That you can do this with sticky notes on a wall. I mean, it's the same idea. You can do it in Miro by just moving stuff around. You can do it in PowerPoint and Keynote because there is a section where you can look at everything and arrange the presentation. Same idea. Doing this allows you to see where the gaps are. So it's really important to basically set something like this up so that you get kind of a vision of how is it going to go. So you add in the things that maybe are missing, because this is where you can see the gaps. And, you know, in her case, like research is now appears to be a new chapter. So then the next thing, once you get all of this content, this is like a rough draft.
Yeah.
Because you have to actually start going through it to see how it flows. How it flows from one page to the next. Are you seeing it as a PDF where you scroll? Are you seeing it where you go individual JPEGs side to side? Are you seeing it as facing pages? So this production plan is built from my original one, which has what's already in the class, assigned homework, and then your to-do list, which could certainly be expanded. I mean, all of this could be really expanded out. And so this is great. You did a lot. And then we got to here, and then this is where things get dicey. So it's good to have things a week earlier than you think you're going to need, because remember about Murphy's Law. You have to make offerings to Murphy's Law. Pagination, plan chapters, factory working throughout this. So, you know, the other thing, when you're dealing with the factory, what is the lag time?
A long time.
Like, what is a long time? Okay, so we can say in here, 3 weeks
Yeah,
production.
because I got it week 10, samples arrive.
Yeah, so see, week 8, this is the thing that you have to
Yeah.
remember. And I would boldface
Perfect.
that, because that's even if I can't spell it. Factory interviews, work on, and that's immediate, because that's
Yeah.
all on
Mhm.
internet, work on slides, get update from factory, start planning, lookbook, shoot.
Yeah.
Were you hiring a model?
My friend's a model, so I shot her.
Okay, so.
And I hired the studio. I had to book the studio. So that's what I found. in class.
All right, so we'll do hire model,
Yeah.
book studio.
Yeah.
Because you need
Yeah.
those 2 weeks buffer.
Yeah.
Because I
Oh,
guarantee you.
That should be week
things will
10
go.
lookbook shoot, right?
And then see, this tells you theoretically when you should start it, but it also tells you the final.
Yeah.
Post-production, it's like, this is,
We could
so
put that
maybe
there.
we should say lookbook shoot, final date.
Yeah.
Final date.
Yeah.
And let's boldface that.
Yeah. And then I'll have the finalized images.
All right, so this tells us when you're too late if you go beyond this. Because, the other thing about booking studio and hiring a model here is that it never fails. You're going to have a model. It never fails. This is Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
You have to assume.
Yeah.
So you've got to have
Yeah,
backup.
right.
Yeah.
Time.
Always think about backup, the what if. I
Mhm.
hire this model and I have this really specific need, and what if she gets COVID?
Yeah.
Which is the newest
Or
problem.
doesn't show up.
She may not be that sick, but she can't come.
Yeah.
You establish, what do you want to have for the final presentation? Because then you do backwards flow charting.